Isn't it wonderful to be outdoors enjoying nature? Having the freedom to mingle, meet with a friend or two without being locked in and unable to socialize with anyone? We only have to open up a magazine, newspaper, or listen to the news on TV on a daily basis to notice changes all around us. There seems to be an urgency for change in lifestyle and consumer habits. Today I visited St Albans Farmers Market and I met Patrick and Hannah. Patrick has been a whole food vendor for the past 15 years and Hannah, a trained patisserie chef, started working for him since COVID lockdown. This is what she had to say.
Stall of the year for being most sustainable, and also the business itself has won various awards for their sustainability and their environmental choices.
Thank you very much.
You're very well.
What about your breads, please?
Yeah, so this loaf here is a light rye. It's a blend of light rye flour and wholemeal bread flour. White bread flour, both of which are organic and from the Whole Foods shop.
Is veganism the way to go? The latest trend seems to be to go vegan. Vegan food is everywhere. Even Greggs have jumped on the bandwagon, supplying vegan sausage rolls. We are a nation of meat lovers, so why has veganism become so important? Reason 1. Pandemic. There is one thing in this world we do not wish to see ever again, COVID-19. Something we all wish could magically disappear. What worries me most is that scientists for infectious diseases believes that COVID-19 is just a dress rehearsal. I'm about to interview Ms. Delisha Singh, a PhD student who currently lectures and does research for the Department of Life Science at the University of the West Indies, Trinidad campus. Would you like to tell me a little bit more about yourself?
First and foremost, Genevieve, thank you so much for having me for your interview. I hail from the Department of Life Sciences, Faculty of Science and Technology, the UWI, University of the West Indies, and I'm currently a PhD candidate. My broader area of expertise centers around aquatic toxicology and environmental biology. I do have some experience on climate change with the United Nations.
Thank you. So, according to WHO, over 60% of the emergence of infectious diseases are passed from animals to humans. How can this be?
When you think about infectious diseases associated with animals, they're zoonotic diseases, also called zoonoses. We have to think back at the interaction between animals and humans, and that can explain why there's such a high association with infectious diseases and animal interaction. Humans require animals for many different needs, whether it's for food, whether it's companionship, whether it is for fibers, for transport. There's always been a tight link between humans and animals. And of course, animals obviously carry germs. You're going to get all different types of pathogenic organisms. So if you are constantly in contact with animals, obviously the chances of transmission of those pathogenic organisms, that's going to be higher. And there, before you know it, we have an infectious outbreak and we have a zoonotic disease happening. Ebola has been linked to bats, and bats have been serving as reservoirs actually for a lot of zoonotic diseases.
After all, there was in 1986, BSC or mad cow was traced back to a farm in UK. 2009, swine flu started in pig farms of Varicose, Mexico. MERS from camel farms in 1997, bird flu H5N1 and 2013 H7N9 started in poultry farms, markets and live bird markets in China, and of course SARS and COVID-19 from wet markets. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. It seems to me that if we don't change the way we live, the way we interact with animals and nature, it's highly likely that COVID-19 may not be the last of these pandemics. We may yet be faced with infections more severe. Do you think because of the way we consume food has a direct impact on infectious diseases and their environment?
Definitely, yes. There's such a thing that we call dietary culture. Dietary culture has a lot to do with food that we eat. So when you think about beliefs, culture, what is accepted in different societies, those are the factors that are going to determine what types of food they eat and how much they eat. There is a social link and there's a cultural link between or food. Scientists link 3 factors to the Ebola outbreak and the spread. 2 of them being linked to population growth and encroachment. But the third factor was food consumption behavior, and it was linked to wildlife consumption.
Does environmental degradation cause emergence of new diseases?
Yes, resounding yes again, because if we look at the patterns in science, if we look at the trends of what is happening, both present and in the past, you can see a lot of the degradation of the environment in different ways through our anthropogenic activities. These things are obviously going to lead to outbreaks. Think about deforestation, or a habitat is modified or an environment is modified through urbanization or agriculture, for example. When you do that, you're essentially disrupting ecosystems functioning, that ecosystem services that the ecosystem normally provides, and those different things come together holistically to regulate things in nature. And as humans, when we disrupt that regulatory function in the ecosystem, you're going to leave a lot of things unchecked. Bacteria or viruses that are normally kept in small numbers would explode, or it might suddenly become virulent. We are creating that environment to increase the risk of infectious diseases and outbreaks of infection.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you think sustainable farming and a change in lifestyle and consumer habits can help to lessen the carbon footprint and the emergence of more infectious diseases?
Yes, and I like to draw on information from Poor and Nemechek. That's recent data, 2018. And they actually did a case study on carbon emissions and diet and food production. They were able to show that what people eat and the quantities that they eat is what affected the carbon emission. That's the very top would be beef. Beef in itself is associated with a large carbon emission quota. Yes, if you do make changes to your diet, you can actually reduce your carbon footprint by reducing carbon dioxide emission.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I found that very interesting.
You're welcome.
Having heard the opinion of an expert, are you willing to change your lifestyle and consumer habits? Be more aware of what you eat? After all, we are the custodians of planet Earth and rely on all of its resources for our survival. If we don't stop, take stock and make small changes to make a difference, better our lives, who else will?